Today marks the 60th death anniversary of India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. He died today in 1964 at age a shade less than 75. At a time when, for the country's often profane right-wing discourse, he has become the byword for every ill that has befallen India since he became Prime Minister on August 15, 1947, it might be useful to revisit his enduring book, Discovery of India. With a smug sense of irony, I began reading it again, of all places, on the internet, on the website of the Bharatiya Janata Party's e-library. I say smug sense of irony because for India's ruling party, which loves to hate him, if Nehru did not exist, it would have felt politically orphaned. I could have read it elsewhere too, but reading it on the party's e-library has that extra high. The book was written in 5 months between April and September of 1945, when Nehru was in Ahmednagar Fort prison in Maharashtra. Here is an interesting passage that I would like to quote from the book. My 11 companions in Ahmednagar Fort were an interesting cross-section of India and represented their several ways, not only politics, but Indian scholarship, old and new, and various aspects of present-day India. Nearly all the principal living Indian languages, as well as the classical languages which have powerfully influenced India in the past and present, were represented, and the standard was often that of high scholarship. Among the classical languages were Sanskrit and Pali, Arabic and Persian. The modern languages were Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu, Sindhi, and Oriya. I had all this wealth to draw upon, and the only limitation was my own capacity to profit by it, unquote, Nehru writes. In the preface dated 25th December 1945, Nehru writes something compelling about how an author feels revisiting their writing after some time. He writes, "It is mine and not wholly mine. As I am constituted today, it represents rather some past self of mine which has already joined that long succession of other selves that existed for a while and faded away, leaving only a memory behind," unquote. It's an extraordinary book that lightly rides Nehru's scholarship, given his evocative yet amiable style of writing. There is a great deal to read and digest in the book, but I would cite an early passage about the great famine that devastated India. Famine came, ghastly, staggering, horrible beyond words, in Malabar, in Bijapur, in Orissa, and above all, in the rich, fertile province of Bengal. Men and women and little children died in their thousands daily for lack of food. They dropped down dead before the palaces of Calcutta. Their corpses lay in the mud huts of Bengal's innumerable villages and covered the roads and fields of its rural areas. Men were dying all over the world and killing each other in battle, usually a quick death, often a brave death, death for a cause, death without a purpose, death which seemed in this mad world of ours, in an inexorable logic of events, a sudden end to the life we could not mold or control. Death was common enough everywhere, but here death had no purpose, no logic, no necessity. It was the result of man's incompetence and callousness, man-made, a slow, creeping thing of horror with nothing to redeem it, life merging and fading into death, with death looking out of the shrunken eyes and withered frame while life still lingered for a while. And so it was not considered right or proper to mention it. It was not good form to talk or write of unsavory topics. To do so was to dramatize an unfortunate situation. False reports were issued by those in authority in India and in England, but corpses cannot easily be overlooked. They come in the way, unquote. Discovery of India is thematically multifarious, but for the purposes of this short video op-ed, I would highlight this line by Nehru because it is as relevant now as it was then. be it the global COVID disaster, the Russian war in Ukraine, and the Israeli war in Gaza and beyond. But corpses cannot easily be overlooked. They come in the way. They do indeed. I would urge Indians to read Discovery of India, even those who cannot stand Nehru, especially those who cannot stand Nehru, because that way at least they would find some substance to dislike him rather than direct their free floating prejudice at him.